Mastering criticism with Stoic confidence. I used to be crushed by any and all negative comments. A harsh word from a coworker, a passive-aggressive remark from a family member, even a random mean comment online, any of it could send me into a spiral of anxiety and self-doubt. For years, I truly believed my self-worth was something other people had control over. They could grant it with praise, and they could snatch it away with criticism. It felt like I was walking on an emotional tightrope, constantly trying to balance everyone else's perceptions, terrified that the slightest gust of wind would send me plummeting. My confidence was outsourced. My inner peace was held hostage. And honestly, I was exhausted. Then, I found something that changed everything. It wasn't some new life hack or a magic pill. It was a 20-year-old philosophy from the Stoics, a school of thought that gave its followers an unshakable inner resilience. This is how I learned to stop letting criticism define me and start using it as fuel for my own growth. This is how I built what's often called an inner citadel, a fortress of self-worth that no opinion can ever tear down. The problem: the tyranny of external validation. Let me paint you a clearer picture. I was a total validation junkie. I lived for the gold stars, the compliments, the likes. A good day at work wasn't about my own sense of accomplishment. It was about how many pats on the back I got from my boss. I'd find myself tailoring my personality and even my opinions to be as agreeable as possible. I was a chameleon, terrified of standing out for the wrong reasons. The thing is, living like that just isn't sustainable. You can't control what other people think. And when the criticism finally came, because it always does, it felt less like feedback and more like a final verdict on who I was as a person. I'll never forget this one time at work. I had poured weeks of my life into a project. I worked late, sacrificed weekends, and I was genuinely proud of what I'd made. But during the presentation, a senior colleague picked apart one small section. He wasn't even that harsh, but his words felt like a physical blow. In that moment, I didn't hear the 95% of praise from everyone else. I only heard his 5% of criticism. For the rest of the week, that one comment echoed in my head. It became this monster, a distorted chorus of my own inadequacy. You're not good enough. You missed something obvious. You failed. I replayed the moment over and over, my face flushing with shame each time. I started avoiding that colleague in the hallway. My motivation completely evaporated, replaced by this heavy cloak of disappointment. It wasn't just about a project anymore. To me, it was proof that I just wasn't as smart or capable as I'd hoped. This pattern repeated itself everywhere. A thoughtless comment on my outfit would have me second-guessing myself for days. A friend forgetting to reply to a text would send me into a panic, convinced I'd done something to offend them. The digital world was a minefield. An anonymous troll leaving a nasty comment felt just as personal as if they'd shouted it to my face. My emotional state was a ship without a rudder, tossed around by the unpredictable winds of other people's opinions. It was exhausting, and I knew something had to change. I couldn't keep giving every person I met the power to build me up or tear me down. The Discovery, 1804. An ancient solution to a modern problem. My breaking point wasn't some big explosion. It was more of a quiet, desperate feeling. I was just so tired of feeling fragile. So, late one night, I typed something like, "How to stop caring what people think" into a search bar. Among all the generic self-help articles, a few names kept popping up: Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus. I'd heard of them as old Roman philosophers, but I had no idea their wisdom could feel so practical and so urgent. I started reading, and one concept hit me like a lightning bolt. It was the Stoic idea that modern writers often call the dichotomy of control. Epictetus, a man who was born a slave and rose to become a revered Stoic teacher, explained it with stunning simplicity. He argued that everything in life falls into one of two categories: things that are up to us and things that are not. So, what's up to us? Our choices, our judgments, our reactions, our actions. That's pretty much the list. And what's not up to us? Well, almost everything else. The weather, the economy, what other people say, what other people think, and yes, whether they approve of us or not. The Stoics taught that most of our frustration and anxiety comes from confusing these two categories. We suffer because we desperately try to control things that are, by nature, uncontrollable. And in the process, we forget to manage the one area where we have total power, our own mind. Reading this was like someone flipped on a light in a room I didn't even realize was dark. My whole life, I'd been putting my energy in the wrong basket. I was trying to control my colleagues' opinion. I was trying to control the reactions of strangers online. It was a game I was always going to lose, because it was unwinnable from the start. The criticism from my coworker didn't actually crush me. My judgment that his criticism meant I was a failure is what crushed me. The troll's negative comment didn't ruin my day. My belief that their anonymous opinion held any real weight is what ruined my day. The power was never with them. It was in my interpretation. As Epictetus taught, we aren't disturbed by events, but by the judgments we make about them. This isn't about becoming a robot or suppressing your feelings. It's about understanding where your feelings truly come from. This single idea was the key that started to unlock my mental prison. The Stoic toolkit for unshakable confidence. Discovering this idea was one thing, but putting it into practice was another. It took a conscious, daily effort to retrain my mind. It wasn't an overnight fix. I want to share the 3 most powerful steps I took, the core of the Stoic toolkit that helped me build real, lasting confidence. Step 1. Radically distinguish fact from opinion. The first habit was to become a mental detective, learning to separate what actually happened from the story I told myself about it. Criticism rarely shows up as pure data. It comes wrapped in emotion, tone, and all of our own insecurities. The Stoics teach us to unwrap it. Think back to my project presentation. The fact was, a colleague suggested one section of the report could be clearer. That's it. That's all that happened. But what was my opinion, my interpretation? It was a tidal wave of negativity. I'm a failure. I'm not smart enough. My work is garbage. Everyone thinks I'm a fraud. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, constantly wrote in his private journal about this very practice. He would break events down to their basic parts, stripping away the dramatic stories we add on top. This became my new reflex. When faced with criticism, I learned to just pause. Before reacting with that familiar sting of shame, I'd take a breath and ask myself, what is the objective fact here? And what is the subjective story I am adding to it? This practice creates a tiny bit of space between a trigger and your response. In that space, you get your power back. You realize that someone else's opinion is just that, an opinion. It's a collection of thoughts in their head. Epictetus put it bluntly. If someone insults you, it's not the person or their words that harm you, but your judgment that their words are harmful. Someone says something mean, the fact is, they just made some sounds. Whether you choose to feel insulted by those sounds is up to you. So next time you face criticism, try it. Strip away the emotional language. Is there an objective fact you can learn from, or is it just someone else's perspective? When you stop accepting opinions as facts, you stop giving away your power. Step 2. Reframe criticism as fuel. Once I got better at separating fact from opinion, the next step was to change my entire relationship with criticism. Instead of seeing it as an attack to defend against, I started seeing it as a potential opportunity. The Stoics were masters of reframing. They believed every obstacle was a chance to practice virtue and get stronger. As Marcus Aurelius put it, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This mindset shift is a game changer. It turns criticism from a source of pain into a source of fuel. Now, when I get criticism, I run it through a simple, two-part filter. I ask myself, is this true? And is this useful? First, is there any truth here? Your ego will immediately want to scream, no, but you have to push past that. If a colleague says my communication is unclear, instead of getting defensive, I have to genuinely ask myself, have there been times when my emails were misunderstood? If the answer is yes, then the criticism, no matter how badly it was delivered, is a gift. It has revealed a blind spot. Marcus Aurelius actively welcomed this, saying he would happily change course if someone could show him he was wrong, because he sought the truth, and no one was ever harmed by the truth. Second, if the criticism isn't true, I ask, is it useful? Sometimes, even false criticism can be helpful. It might tell you more about the person giving it than it does about you. Maybe they're having a bad day, or they feel insecure. Understanding this helps you find empathy instead of anger. Or maybe their criticism reinforces your own values. If someone criticizes you for being too ambitious or too compassionate, and you value those things, their comment is just confirmation that you're on the right path. And what if the criticism is neither true nor useful? What if it's just a baseless insult? Here, the Stoic approach is beautifully direct. You discard it. Think of it like a dog barking at you as you walk by. You wouldn't get down on all fours and bark back. You recognize its nature, you don't take it personally, and you keep walking. Why should you let someone else's negativity disturb your own peace? Their ugliness is their problem, not yours. Step 3. Build your inner citadel. This final step is the real goal of the whole practice, building a sense of self-worth that is completely independent of what other people think. It's about constructing what we call the inner citadel, a term inspired by Marcus Aurelius's writings about a mental fortress where your self-respect is kept safe. From a Stoic view, your self-worth shouldn't come from your job title, your salary, or how many likes you get. All of those are external, they can be taken away. Instead, your self-worth should be anchored to the one thing that is truly yours, your character. Your commitment to living with integrity and trying your best. This means you get your confidence from the effort, not the outcome. You feel good about yourself because you acted with honesty, not because you got praised. You're proud because you worked hard, whether the project succeeded or failed. Your value comes from inside. So how do you build this fortress? Brick by brick, through daily practice. First, define your values. What's actually important to you? Honesty, discipline, kindness. Write them down. These are the blueprints for your citadel. Second, practice self-reflection. The Stoics were big fans of journaling. At the end of each day, take a look at your actions. Where did you live up to your values? Where did you fall short? This isn't about beating yourself up. It's about self-assessment for the sake of improvement. When you become your own coach, the opinions of the crowd start to matter a lot less. When your self-worth is tied to your own character, Criticism loses its sting. An insult becomes like a wave crashing against the stone walls of your fortress. It makes a lot of noise, but it can't shake the foundation. You know who you are because you're the one building yourself day by day. The transformation, living with Stoic confidence. So what does life look like now? It's not like the criticism just stops. The world doesn't change. The harsh words and negative comments are still out there. The difference is, I've changed. The emotional armor I've built isn't made of hardness or indifference. It's made of resilience and perspective. I got to test out this new foundation not long ago. I launched a small personal project online, and almost immediately I got a long, detailed, and incredibly harsh critique in the comments. It picked apart everything. The old me would have been devastated. I would have felt that hot sting of shame and probably deleted the whole thing. But this time was different. I read the comment and felt that initial, reflexive flinch. But then the training kicked in. First, I paused. Fact. A person wrote a series of sentences expressing disapproval. Opinion. This project is a failure, and I'm a fraud. I consciously let go of the opinion. Second, I put the feedback through my filter. Is any of this true or useful? I reread the comment, not as an attack, but as data. Most of it was just angry venting, so I discarded it. But hidden in the rant were 2 points that were actually valid. He pointed out a flaw in the user experience I had overlooked and a typo I had missed. It was a gift wrapped in sandpaper. I took a moment to feel a little gratitude for this stranger who, however rudely, helped me make my project better. I fixed the issues. Third, I checked in with my inner citadel. Was my self-worth threatened? No. My worth wasn't tied to the success of this project. It was tied to the courage it took to make something and share it. It was tied to the integrity I showed by being open to the feedback. I replied simply, "Thanks for the detailed feedback. I've corrected the flaw and fixed the typo. Appreciate you taking the time." And then this is the most important part. I moved on. No shame spiral. No lingering anger. An event that would have once hijacked my entire week was over in less than 10 minutes. That's the freedom this practice gives you. Conclusion. The journey from being crushed by criticism to mastering it has been one of the most empowering things I've ever done. It taught me that true confidence isn't about hoping you'll never be criticized. It's about knowing your self-worth is never up for debate. It's an internal resource, built by you, for you. The principles are simple, though putting them into practice takes work. First, know what you can and cannot control. Let go of managing others' opinions and focus on your own choices. Second, treat criticism like a tool. Sift through it for truth, use what's helpful, and toss the rest. And finally, build your self-worth on the unshakable foundation of your own character. Build that inner citadel, brick by brick. This isn't just some ancient philosophy. It's a training system for the modern mind. It's the key to developing a sense of self that lets you move through the world with courage, grace, and peace. Now, I want to hear from you. What's one piece of criticism that really stuck with you, and how might you look at it differently using these ideas? Share your story in the comments. Your experience could be the spark that helps someone else. And if this resonated with you, if you're ready to start building your own inner fortress, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more practical philosophy. Remember the core Stoic idea. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find your strength.